further ado, I'm super duper excited to bring our speaker today. I want to go ahead and tell you now, go ahead and tell your neighbor, hush, because I want to hear him. Hush, because I want to hear him. You don't want to miss a word that he's going to say. So if your neighbor's trying to talk to you like, you don't love me. Because if they love you, they don't want you to miss this information. If you love me, you're not going to try to talk to me while the speaker's talking, because I want to hear all the information I have that I can have. So when your neighbor's talking to you, be like, you don't love me. We want to focus on our speaker. I am excited. I had over the last couple of weeks just to engage a little bit with this dynamic speaker, this dynamic man, and I'm super excited to bring to you our speaker today. He is a 3-time Wall Street Journal best-selling author. His story and the message of the coffee bean has been shared with audiences all over the world. Please welcome the coffee bean himself, Damon
Talking about. All right. How's it going? It's so good to be here today. Got the theme music playing. So he's playing the song I'm Still Standing, and you'll see why that song is relevant to this story. So y'all listen. I'm super excited to be here today, first of all. How about Carmen's energy, right? Isn't that infectious? That's what energy is. Energy is infectious. I heard your answers a while ago to different questions, and some really good answers and questions y'all asked. But, one of the themes I heard is that people can change, and that substance abuse and the issues with that. I've got a story for you about all that stuff right now, and energy. But my story is about finding opportunity in adversity, because inside of every adverse, difficult situation, there is an opportunity for you to grow and become a better version of yourself. In fact, I'm going to tell you a story today that proves to you that on the other side of the adversity is the best version of you. But you have to go through the adversity in life to meet the best version of you, to become the man or woman you were always meant to be. So let's start this story off. 15 years ago, July 30th, 2008, I'm sitting around this little rundown apartment in Dallas, Texas, and I'm sitting on this little ratty old couch, and I've got my meth dealer sitting right next to me. All right, got everybody's attention now. We're ready to roll. This is going down, y'all. 15 years ago, I'm not the clean-cut, polished-looking guy you see in front of you. Best-selling books, movie deal, family man, businessman, college professor. None of that's going on 15 years ago. 15 years ago, I'm a full-blown meth addict, and I'm the head of an organized crime ring that operates throughout the entire city of Dallas. I'm the top criminal on the criminal pyramid. I'm the shot caller of the group. So I'm on the couch today with my dope dealer. His name is Tex. I'm telling Tex as we're passing this glass pipe back and forth, you don't want to be here right now. The cops are closing in on me. The end is near. 10 days before this guy that I was doing all these burglaries with in Dallas, this guy named Dustin, my partner in crime. Dustin, what's that?
My name is Dustin.
Oh, yeah. I don't think it was you, Dustin, because Dustin had just been picked up by the Dallas Police Department in a stolen car. So they got my partner in crime in custody, which means I know it's just a matter of time before they get to me, because guess what? In crime, everybody talks. That's the rule about crime. Everybody's talking. So just as I'm about to pass the pipe back to Tex, the window on my right blows out and shatters. Psh! And tumbling across that living room floor was a little canister going end over end, and it was smoking on one side. Yo, I've seen this movie before. I know what that canister's going to do. And I tried to get out of that living room as fast as I could, but it was too late. Boom! The flashbang grenade went off in my face. Bright white light, loud noise, blows me back on the couch. And when I came to, when I could see and hear again, there's a cop standing over me in full SWAT riot gear. His boot is on my chest. The barrel of an assault rifle is digging in my eye socket, and his fingers on the trigger, and he's screaming at the top of his lungs, "Don't move, don't move." Man, I scream back at him, "Don't worry, don't worry." Yeah, you got a gun in my eye, dude. So these cops, they start flooding my apartment, and one of them screams out loud, "We got him. We got the Uptown Burglar." The Uptown Burglar. That's a name I'll live with for the rest of my life. The choices you make today will go with you for the rest of your life. That's the consequences of the decisions I made. about a dozen other meth addicts and myself, young and old, male and female, black and white, and everything in between, because drugs and addiction do not discriminate. But we indiscriminately and without reservation broke into the homes of dozens and dozens of people in the uptown neighborhood of Dallas and beyond to feed our insatiable meth habits. But on July 30th, 2008, the uptown burglaries, they came to an end because they finally had their man. They had the mastermind of the entire thing, zip tied on the floor of a dirty old apartment. They took me to Dallas County Jail. They processed me in fingerprints, mugshot. They threw me in a holding cell, and they set my bond at $1.4 million. That's a no bond. 10 months later, I go to my trial. The trial lasted for 6 days. 6 days is a long trial for property crimes, y'all. These are property crimes around meth. No one was hurt. No one was home. No physical victim. But 6 days means the evidence of my guilt is overwhelming. They've got me dead to rights for the crime of engaging in organized criminal activity, RICO. Everybody's talking about RICO right now in America, especially in Atlanta, Georgia, right? I went down for a RICO case as the mastermind. So 6 days of trial, the jury, they go to deliberate for 10 minutes on my punishment. 10 minutes is all the time they gave it after the judge told them to go think about it. They brought me back in the courtroom and they read the sentence out loud. Damon Joseph West, you are hereby sentenced to 65 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. 65 years is a life sentence in the state of Texas. The jury smoked me that day. They gave me life. Now, obviously I didn't do the entire life sentence from inside of a prison, right? Because I'm standing in front of you today. And the Texas Department of Criminal Justice did not release me to Carmen to come talk to y'all today. I swear to God they didn't. But that would be a cool work release program. No, I made it out. That's the whole story. I did 7 years and 3 months in a maximum security penitentiary in Beaumont, Texas called the Mark Stiles Unit. Stiles is one of the toughest prisons in Texas. It's one of the toughest prisons in America. And I can tell you with authority about tough prisons in America because since I got out of prison 8 years ago, I went back to school. I went and got educated. I went and got a master's in criminal justice. And I became a professor at the University of Houston, get this, teaching a class called Prisons in America. How about that for flipping the script a little bit, right? I'm the only professor on earth to teach a prisons class at a university who lived in a prison himself. So I know about tough prisons. And Stiles, it's as hard as it gets. Doing my time at Stiles. It's 2015 at this point in the story. By 2015 in prison, I've become a model inmate. I've become a coffee bean. And I was working the chapel as a chapel clerk. I'll never forget, in 2015, Chaplain Vance came in. He was super excited. He said, West, security's looking for you, man. They just called your name out of the radio. He said, the parole board is here to see you. Now, parole is a device they have where they can let you out of prison early. It doesn't mean you're done with your sentence. You're just done with the prison portion. You're going to get out, you get a parole officer. Y'all, I know I'm up for parole, but I don't think I can make parole. No one makes that first parole, not 7 years on life. I'm pretty sure I got to do at least a dime, maybe 15 on this life before I go home. But I go down to the parole office. I got a smile on my face. That's what coffee beans do. We smile everywhere we go. And the lady from parole called me and she said, have a seat, Mr. West. So I sat down. She's got my criminal file in front of her. This thing is this thick, y'all. It's everything I've ever done illegal in my life. And she's flipping through the pages of it for about 20 seconds. She slammed the file shut. She pushed it away. She said, Mr. West, I came here today to ask you one question for your parole hearing. She said, this is a one-question test. It will decide whether or not you go home or you stay in this prison. She said, the answer to my question is not in the file about the guy I'm reading about who committed all those crimes. She said, we don't see a lot of Damon West come through the system because you had it all. You had every advantage, every privilege, and every opportunity over everybody your entire life. She said, you are the definition of a privileged person in this country. And she was right, y'all. I grew up in this little southeast Texas town called Port Arthur, Texas. Port Arthur, Texas, right where Louisiana, Texas touch on the Gulf Coast. Blue-collar town, refinery town, predominantly black town. I grew up being one of the only white kids at slumber parties, birthday parties, sports, you name it. It was a giant melting pot of a city. And I came from a great family, y'all. My mom and my dad were married for 55 years. My mother was a school teacher and a nurse. My dad My dad was a sports writer. Let me tell you about my dad. 1971, he made history in that part of Texas. He became the first sports writer in Southeast Texas to put black athletes on the front page of sports pages. 1971 was the first time it ever happened. And when my dad put a black running back from Lincoln High School on the cover of the sports page, people lost their minds over that. They broke his windows. They slid his tires. They sent hate mail to him. When I was a little boy, I was like 8 or 9 years old when this happened. My dad goes up in the attic one day. He comes out with this box with all these envelopes and these letters. It was all the hate mail. And one sec. So he sits me down. He sits me down on the couch that day, and he makes me read all those letters of hate mail. Every nasty, negative word that people said about my father and my mother, because my dad put a black guy on the cover of a sports page. But you know what my dad told me back then? He said, Damon, I want you to see what it looks like to take a stand and do the right thing. Because he said, sometimes taking a stand and doing the right thing, it means you're going to stand alone. But he said, it's always okay to stand alone as long as you're standing on the right side of history. Tremendous influence from my father. 25 years later, when I go to prison, this is the principle I've got to rebuild my life on. I was a good student, but I was a great athlete. God blessed me with a cannon for a right arm. And back in Texas, we have this little thing called high school football. We love our high school football. It's like a religion in my home state, y'all. And I was the man. I was a 3-year starting quarterback for a 5A school. But you know what I had going on back in high school? I had a lot of character issues. I got into substance abuse at a young age. When I was 10, I drank my first beer. That was my gateway drug, was alcohol. When I was 12, I smoked my first joint. I had this belief that I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not even hurting myself. A bad belief system. Bad belief systems, they're very hard to get rid of. They develop at this young age right here. And the longer you hold on to a bad belief system, the harder it is to get rid of. My bad belief system would dog me out until I got to a maximum security prison one day. But because I could throw a football, nothing ever stuck to me. I never got in any trouble. I graduate college. I graduate high school. I go to college on a football scholarship, Division I college football. By the time I was 20, I was starting for the University of North Texas, Division I college team. But at 20 years old, against Texas A&M, my career was ended on an injury that day. And I came up to this fork in the road in life, and football was gone. But you know what else was gone that day? My identity. Because I made the mistake of wrapping my identity up into something external. And we can't do that in life. Your identity doesn't come from the friends you hang out with, the car you drive, the house your parents live in. Social media doesn't tell you what your identity is. Instagram doesn't do it. It has to come from within. But at 20, I didn't have an identity outside of football. And I got into hardcore drugs at this point. Cocaine, ecstasy, pills. But I graduate college. I'm a functional addict. I go off to work in the United States Congress. After that, I work for a guy running for president of the United States. 2004, I moved back to Dallas. I'm training to be a stockbroker for one of the biggest Wall Street banks in the world, UBS, United Bank of Switzerland. And it was at that job in 2004 that my life and the lives of so many other innocent people would forever be changed. Let me take you back to that day in 2004. I was passed out of sleep at work. This other stockbroker comes up. He sees me sleeping. He wakes me up. He's visibly shaking. He's like, Damon, wake up. You can't sleep on this job. He said, the markets are open. You're messing with people's money. He said, they'll fire you if they catch you sleeping here. He said, come on down to the parking garage. I got something that'll pick you up. So I follow this guy down the parking garage that day. We get into his nice little sports car, and he hands me a glass pipe with crystal rocks in it. I've never seen a glass pipe before. I'm like, man, what is that? He said, Damon, just relax. He said, it's crystal meth. He said, you're going to love this stuff. Truer words have never been spoken. Because I did. I fell in love with crystal meth that day. It's the most evil, most destructive, most addictive drug. I smoked it one time, and I was instantly hooked just like that. And I couldn't give everything away fast enough for that drug. I gave away my job, my home, my car, my family, my savings account, my tethering to God. In 18 months, I went from working on Wall Street to living on the streets of Dallas. I'm homeless, y'all. I live in dope houses and trap houses. I've slept on park benches and people's cars. I became a criminal at this point. Breaking into cars, breaking into storage units, that eventually I start breaking into people's houses. Now this is a very serious crime. It's burglary. When I broke into my victims' homes, I didn't just steal property from my victims. I stole something way more valuable from my victims, something I don't think they'll ever get to replace, and that is their sense of security. I can't replace that. I can't fix that. But after 3 years of committing these property crimes against the people of Dallas, Texas, the Dallas SWAT team on July 30th, 2008, put an end to the Uptown burglaries, the day that they arrested me. Or the shift in mindset that I'm talking to you about today, the shift in mindset that looks for the opportunity in the adversity. July 30th, 2008, that's not just the day I was arrested. That was the day I was rescued. I got pulled out of a situation in life I couldn't get myself out of. The SWAT team saved me that day, but I didn't see it at the time. So now the lady for parole was done going over my story. She said, Mr. West, you had it all. You threw it all away. You became a drug addict. You became a criminal. You became a thief. She said, a jury in Dallas gave you life in prison for the things you did. She said, but instead of letting that life sentence define you, she said, you changed yourself inside this prison, Mr. West. She said, there's no doubt about the change you made to yourself. She said, but what got our attention, the reason why we're here today, is you didn't just change yourself. You changed the entire prison. One man could change this prison. She said, so my question for you is this. If you could be remembered for being anything in life, anything at all, she said, tell me what that would be in just one word, go. Oh my God, y'all, I breathed out and I relaxed. That's an easy question for a coffee bean to answer. And I fired her answer back at her. I was like, ma'am, I just want to be useful. And I can be useful inside this prison, as you've already seen, or I could be useful out in that free world again, finding more coffee beans. November 16th, 2015, a day I'll never forget, because I walked out of a Texas prison that day. Now, I'm not a free man. I want y'all to understand the difference here. You're not looking at a free man in front of you. I've got a little more time left on parole in the state of Texas. I am on parole until the year 2073. Yeah, that's what I said too. My God, whoa, yeah. Y'all, I'm on paper for 50 more years. Hey, when I got out, it was 58 years, so I'm chipping away at this thing one day at a time. And let me tell you what being on paper looks like. This is what being on paper looks like. Every month in Beaumont, Texas, I go see my parole officer, Miss Braggs. Miss Braggs is 30 years old. She controls my entire life. I say hello to Miss Braggs, and she hands me a cup in return. I go pee in that cup. I pay a fine every month. I answer her questions. When I want to leave the state of Texas, like I had to do today to come here, guess whose permission I got to get? Braggs. That's it. Braggs. Every time. Braggs. For the rest of my life. But let me tell you something I'm not worried about. That parole. Texas can keep their parole. You know why? Because I'm a coffee bean. And the only way this coffee bean is going to prison is when I go to prisons on my own all over America. I share this story with men and women in the institutions to bring them hope on their journey, because every human being has to have hope on their journeys. And I walk out the front gate of all my prisons today. So let me tell you the story of the coffee bean and where I heard it from for the first time. Let's go back to the day that I was sentenced to life in prison. May 18th, 2009. The judge read the sentence out loud. Immediately, the sheriff is on me, the bailiff is on me, they're handcuffing me, they're getting me out of there. Happens fast, just like in the movies, especially with a lifer. They whisk me out of there. I lock eyes with my mom on the way out. I'm like, Mom, I'm sorry. They whisk me out of there. They put me in this little side room. It's got a bulletproof glass. They told me to wait. My mom and my dad are escorted in about 5 minutes later. They're going to give my parents one last visit with me before I go to prison. They feel sorry for my parents because I just got life. So my mom does all the talking that day. She said, baby, she said, debts in life demand to be paid. I'm going to repeat, that's a big one for my mom. Debts in life demand to be paid. If you owe a debt, you'll pay it. It may take a while to catch you, but you're going to pay it. It took them 3 years to catch the Uptown burglar. She said, you just got hit with one heck of a bill from the state of Texas, though. She said, so you have to go and pay that debt to society. She said, you owe Texas that debt, but you owe your father and I debt too. We gave you all the opportunity, love, and support to be anything you wanted to be in life, and that's how you just repaid us what we saw in that courtroom? That's not going to work. We raised you in Port Arthur, Texas, a giant melting pot of a city. We gave you a great moral compass, which you chose to not use. She said, so here's the debt you're going to pay to us. When you go to prison, you will not get in one of these white hate groups, one of these Aryan Brotherhood type of gangs, because you're scared because you're the minority in there. She said, it's not going to work. You were never raised to be a racist. You're not starting now. She said, you will not get any tattoos while you're inside that prison. Y'all see any ink on the skin? Man, I spent almost 10 years in a supermax prison, on the worst part of prison where the lifers are. No ink. And these guys in prison, they want to tattoo every inch of your body in the joint. These guys hit me up constantly in prison. Wes, let me put a tattoo on you, man. I tell them the same thing every time. Dude, I can't do it, man. My mom said no. I swear to God. Swear to God. Listen to what my mom said next. This is what she said next, y'all. She said, no gangs, no tattoos. She said, you come back as the man we raised, or don't come back to us at all. I was stunned. She said, do you understand the debt you're about to pay to us? I was like, yeah, Mom, I got it. But what do I know about prison, y'all? What do I really know about prison? I'm a white middle-class guy in America. I don't know nobody's been to prison at this point in my life. I get back to my pod in Dallas County Jail. I got 2 months before the prison bus comes to get me. I'm asking every guy in county jail that's been to prison before, how am I going to survive? What am I going to do? And every guy I talk to, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, they all said the same thing. You have to get into a gang. You can't survive when you're going the worst part of prison, Wes. You can't survive without a gang. They said the gang is your family now. But there was this one guy who was so different. This older black man named Mr. Jackson. Now, Mr. Jackson's what you call a career criminal. He's been in and out of prison his entire life, but he's the most positive guy I've ever met in my life. He had a smile on his face everywhere he went. You couldn't knock the smile off of Jackson's face. And every single day he'd come up to my cell and he'd pick me up like a ray of sunshine in that dark place with his positive energy. So one morning, Jackson comes up to my bunk. He's got a cup of coffee in his hand, got a smile on his face. He said, West, I've been watching you. I've been watching how you're dealing with these knuckleheads and these dummies. Talk about you got to get into a gang. He said, don't listen to these fools. You want to keep the promise you made to your mom and your dad? Then let me tell you what prison is really going to be like. So he told me. The first thing he said you need to understand about prison is all about race. He said race runs the entire institution because the inmates want it to be about race. He said when you walk in the door of the life sentence building, the white gangs get the first dibs on you because you are white. He names them, the Aryan Brotherhood, the Aryan Circle, the White Knights, the Woods. He said you got to fight them all. If you survive that, then you're going to fight the black gangs. And the white gangs will send the black gangs after you, and the Crips, the Bloods, the gangster disciples. They're going to be happy to tee off on this independent white guy that won't get with his own race and his own kind. He said, but if you survive all that, and you can survive all that, you will earn the right to walk alone. He said the strongest man in prison always walks alone. Kind of sounds like my dad, doesn't he? It's okay to stand alone. You need to understand that about life. If all the people you're hanging around with are doing wrong things, go stand alone somewhere else. It's okay to stand alone. He told me the truth about fighting. He said, you don't have to win all your fights, West, but you do have to fight all your fights. He said, some days you're going to win and some days you're going to lose. He said, it's okay to lose those fights. Just get back up and keep fighting. And that's what he's telling me, get back up. But when he's telling me this back in 2009, I'm looking back at this guy like a deer in headlights. All this violence and terror I'm about to walk into. That's when he's like, West, let me break it down for you a different way. He said, I want you to imagine prison as a pot of boiling water. He said, now anything we put in this pot of boiling water will be changed by the heat and the pressure inside this pot. He said, I'm going to put 3 things in this pot of boiling water and watch how they change. A carrot, an egg, and a coffee bean. Here's where I first heard the story of the coffee bean. The summer of 2009 in Dallas County Jail, exactly 10 years before I wrote the best-selling book called The Coffee Bean in the summer of 2019. So he walks me through it. He said, if I put a carrot in the pot of boiling water that we call prison, the carrot goes in hard and firm, but the water changes that hard carrot, makes it soft and mushy and weak. You don't want to be the carrot, he said. The egg in the same pot of boiling water goes in with the hard outer shell and the soft liquid inside. But the water, the prison, turned the inside of that egg, the heart, hard. And if your heart becomes hard, you're incapable of giving or receiving love. He said, if you're incapable of giving or receiving love, your eggshell has swastikas all over it. Then he told me, he said, the coffee bean in the same pot of boiling water changes the pot of boiling water into a pot of coffee. He said the coffee bean is the only thing that could change the water because it was the change agent. And he said the coffee bean had the power to change the water because the power was inside the coffee bean. Just like the power is inside of you, West. And he said everybody in life puts out energy, negative or positive. Whatever kind of energy we put out, we attract back. So he's telling me, if you want to be a coffee bean inside that place, walk around with a smile on your face, attract the other coffee beans to you. And the last words he said to me before the prison bus was going to pick me up to go serve my life sentence, he said, West, be a coffee bean. Be a coffee bean. 4 words that changed my life. Because if this old man was shooting me straight, he changed everything. He changed the whole game. He put the power back inside me. And if the power stayed inside me, it can't be in the hands of the criminal justice system, the guards, the other inmates. It's in me. Boy, and if I keep that power inside me, I don't just survive prison, I can thrive inside that prison. And I'm telling y'all this today because I want y'all to know the power is inside each and every one of you too. It's not what goes on around you locally. It's not in the hallways of your school. It's not on social media. It's in you. And if you can keep the power inside you throughout your life, you don't survive this life. You thrive in this life. I know that because I took the coffee bean message to the biggest pot of boiling water there is, a maximum security supermax prison in the state of Texas. Y'all want some prison stories now? Yeah, people love prison stories. Let's roll. Let's go. Day 1 of prison. They take me to the Mark Stiles unit. 3,000 men on this unit, except the lifers. The lifers live on this one building. It's like an island. It's called 7 Building. 432 men on this building. Everybody's got life, and you don't leave 7 Building for 5 years. You're stuck on this island of brutality and violence. I walk in that first day. Within 20 minutes, I'm in a fight with the guy from the Aryan Brotherhood, and he beats me from one side of the day room to the other. But I fought back. That's all Jackson said you had to do. It took me 2 weeks to get through the white gangs. After that, it was the black gangs. And y'all, in that first 2 months in prison, I probably got in 36 fights, and I lost 75% of those fights. But I won all my fights because Jackson told me, you don't have to win those fights. You just got to fight those fights. And I'm telling y'all this, the same is true in life. No one is going to count your wins and losses in life. No one keeps track of that but you. But you know what everybody's watching to see? Does he or she get back up when the adversity hits? And that's all you have to do in this life, y'all. You don't have to win all your battles. Just get back up and fight your battles. 2 weeks to get through the white gangs. After that, it was the black gangs. 6 weeks into prison. I'm still fighting the black gangs at this point. It's Monday morning. I get up. The only thing I haven't used to earn respect in this place is my athletic ability. And God blessed me to be a tremendous athlete in life. But y'all, the rec yard where you play sports, it's the most intimidating place I've ever seen. It was the most segregated place I've ever seen. Remember Jackson said, prison was all about race. Remember he said that? Dude was spot on. The rec yard and the life sentence building, every sport is segregated by the color of your skin. You walk out that rec yard, sand volleyball, whites and Hispanics only. Handball court, all the races can play handball. But if you want to play doubles and partner up with somebody, your partner got to be the same skin colors. You can't mix the races. The weight stack, just like you see in those prison movies, man. Everybody wants to push that iron inside that prison. And all the races can lift weights. But you want someone to spot you, someone to work out with you. Your partner, your spotter, got to be the same skin color. You can't mix the races. You couldn't even sit down and eat a meal on the life sentence building at a table with people of a different race. Race is everything inside that life sentence building. So that Monday morning, y'all, I face my fears. I go out to the rec yard. I pass up all those other sports I just told you about, and I headed straight for the basketball court. Who do y'all think runs the basketball court? The blacks, the brothers, they run it. No white boys are allowed in that basketball court. But remember, I grew up in Port Arthur. I've been the only white boy in the basketball court all my life. And I can ball. I know I can play with some of these guys. But do you know why I really had to get myself in a game of basketball that morning? Because I know that in America, sports is the great uniter in this country, y'all. Sports has the power to bring people together in this country like nothing else can. Before there was Martin Luther King Jr., there was a guy named Jackie Robinson. Before you integrated lunch counters down here in the American South where we live, you know what you integrated before that? You integrated locker rooms. I know that sports can make me whole. That Monday morning, I go out there, I get myself in a game of basketball, and it's not 5-on-5 type basketball, it's 9-on-1. My own teammates don't want me out there, but I survive. I keep showing back up every day. I learned 2 things about adversity that week. 2 things I'll never be able to forget. 1, adversity's never as bad as you think it's going to be. And you are always capable of way more than you think you are. Because you know what we do as human beings sometimes? We allow overthinking to get in the way of overcoming. And that week on the rec yard, it was over, man. The black circled up around me in the last day. You don't have to worry about the rest of the time you're here, Wes. You're good. You've earned your right to exist. So 2 months. 2 months into prison. The violence was finally over. The threat to my physical safety is gone. Now I had to start working on being a coffee bean because I had a problem going on inside me at this point, 2 months into prison. I was becoming the egg. I didn't want to be the egg. Remember, the egg doesn't go home to mom and dad, but I didn't know how to be a coffee bean. One of the last conversations I had with Mr. Jackson in Dallas County Jail, I asked him, I said, what will I find more of when I get to prison? And y'all, his answer was profound. He was one of the most intelligent men I've ever met. This is what he said about that. He said, you're going to find more eggs, Wes. And here's why you find more eggs. The egg is the natural evolution of any human being inside of any difficult situation. He said, you're about to walk in one of the most difficult situations on earth. He said, the truth is, Wes, you'll probably become the egg too. Jackson was right. He was right about everything. I had to get up every day, y'all. I had to change my mindset because remember, thinking is everything. I had to stop looking at prison as a punishment and start looking at prison as an opportunity. When I started this presentation out, I talked about you finding the opportunity in your adversity in life. Think about the adversity I'm sitting in. I just started serving a fresh life sentence in one of Texas's toughest prisons. It took me 2 months to fight for my right to exist. I don't know if I can survive. I don't know if I go home again. But every day that I got up in that prison, I looked at it as my opportunity to become the best version of myself in a dungeon, in a concrete cell. Days became weeks, weeks became months, months became years. But I cracked the code on how to be a coffee bean. And that's what I want to give y'all today. Y'all want the cheat code? Here's how you be a coffee bean. First rule about being a coffee bean. Have positive body language everywhere you go. Smile. Your smile is powerful. When you smile, people see you smile, they smile back. Chain reaction of positive energy. Mr. Jackson told me. He said, you either infect a room when you walk into it with your negative energy, or you affect that room with your positive energy. You infect or you affect every room you're in. Second rule about being a coffee bean. Work out on yourself every day in 3 areas. Spiritually, mentally, physically. Every day, make the time to work out your mind, your body, your soul. Your mental workout. It's really important. It's all the books you read, the videos you watch, the websites you go to, the video games you play, your social media feed, your friend circle. Let me tell you about your friend circle. If you show me who you hang out with, I can tell you who you are. I know who you are by the company you keep, and so does everybody else. So pick the right friends to be around. If you're not hanging around people that push you to be a better version of you, then you're hanging with the wrong crowd, and they will bring you down. Third rule about being a coffee bean. The secret to life. The secret to life is servant leadership. Servant leadership is helping other people reach their goals in life, helping to raise other people up to a different station of life. Because when we're serving others, when we're helping others, that's when we're at our best because we're living in our purpose, y'all. Look for ways every day to serve other people and be kind to everybody you meet because everybody is struggling with something in this life. Oh, yeah. Fourth rule about being a coffee bean. Understand what you do and do not control. It's easier to tell you what you have control over because there's very few things you control. In fact, there's only 4 things I've found you can control. You can control what you think. You can control what you say. You can even control what you feel. And what I mean is, what do you do with your feelings when you're going through something, when you struggle? Do you have someone you can talk to? You should. You need to. You have to get that out. And the last thing you control is your actions, what you do. And everybody's going to see those. What you think, what you say, what you feel, and what you do. If it's not one of those 4 things, you don't control it. The world goes on around you. You can't control the world around you. You control the world inside you. Last rule about being a coffee bean, my favorite. It's that your past does not define you. Repeat that again. Your past doesn't define you. Your past doesn't matter. I don't care where you came from, what you've done in your life, what side of the tracks you came from. None of that matters in life. You know why? Those are events. You can't change them. Your past is your lesson. You learn from it. You teach other people with it. There's a reason why your windshield is bigger than your rear view mirror. You ever thought about that when you're driving? Well, you need a lot more space to look forward than you do to look backwards driving that car. Because you can't drive a vehicle going forward looking out the rearview mirror. If you did, guess what you would do? Get into a wreck because your eyes aren't facing forward. The same thing happens in our lives. When we live in our past, the past good things we've done that we're super proud of in that rearview mirror, the past bad things we've done that we're not so proud of in that rearview mirror. Get out of your rearview mirror. All that thing is going to do is make your present and your future a bunch of wrecks. Your past is your lesson. The present today is a gift. That's where your opportunities are. And the future, there's your motivation. You got a bright future in front of y'all. But motivate yourself with things that have the word integrity attached to it. One last story for you. One of my biggest motivations in life when I got out of prison was to find my friend, Mr. Jackson. Anybody wonder what happened to Mr. Jackson at this point? Yeah. Took me 7 years to find this guy. His real name is James Lynn Baker. The only name I knew him by in Dallas County Jail was Muhammad. Because when guys go to prison, they convert to Islam, they take on a Muslim name. So the only name I had this guy was Muhammad. I just gave him the name Mr. Jackson for the story. But I found out his real name was James Lynn Baker. And when I finally found out who he was, unfortunately, I found out that he had passed away. He passed away May 9th, 2017. He's been dead for over 6 years now, y'all. He died of an opiate overdose. Drug addict, just like me. But he never got help for his addiction. He never got into a program recovery. But integrity. Integrity requires me to go out and find this man's family now. Because I got to do something to honor this guy. Because without Mr. Jackson, I'm not standing in front of you today. So I found his family. He came from a dynamic family. You know, he and I had a lot alike. He came from a family with dynamic siblings. He had 3 sisters, dynamic sisters. His little sister, Von Seal Baker, was the very first Dallas Cowboy cheerleader ever in 1972. First woman to wear the uniform. His mother, Bertha Baker, who was a nurse, just like my mom was a nurse. His mother became the first licensed black daycare owner in Dallas history. The first black daycare was the home he grew up in. The home he grew up in is a landmark in Dallas. Man, this guy came from royalty. So I finally tracked down the sisters, Visha, Von Seal, and Vanessa, and I called them up one night. I was in the airport right here in Atlanta. I was on a layover. I told them the story about the time that I met their brother in Dallas County Jail in 2009, and about the message he told me and what I was able to do in my life with the coffee bean message. And I told him, I don't know what your feelings are about your brother and the choices he made in his life, but I need you to understand something. Your brother impacted at least one person while he was on this earth. And this one person, I'm going to impact the entire planet with the message he gave me. And I asked him, I said, what high school did y'all go to? Because, you know, he told me in county jail, he told me it was from the inner city. And they confirmed it. Dallas Lincoln High School. Dallas Lincoln is as inner city urban as you're going to get in Dallas. It's South Dallas. I said, great, here's what I want to do at Dallas Lincoln High School. Every year, I'm going to put $10,000 into a trust for a scholarship in your brother's name. We'll call it the James Lynn Baker II Be a Coffee Bean Scholarship. And I would love for your family to pick the winner of this scholarship every year so that every year one little boy or one little girl that grows up in your old neighborhood, goes to your old high school, gets a better chance at life through an education. Y'all, the family this past May picked the first scholarship recipient. This little girl named Megan Loving. Megan's mother is a school teacher. Her dad is a disabled veteran. And right now, she's a Texas A&M Aggie going to be an engineer one day. Finally found Mr. Jackson. Finally found Mr. Jackson. Yes. So don't ever give up on your goals, y'all. It took me 7 years to find Mr. Jackson. It took me 7 years to get out of prison. Some of your goals are going to take longer. Don't you quit. Don't you quit before the miracle happens. So I'm going to wrap this up with a call to action. It's this. Life is a pot of boiling water. You already know it. It's harsh, stressful. It can be dangerous. You got 3 choices. Be like the carrot that becomes soft, the egg that becomes hard. And you're going to be both sometimes in life. Because being sad and being mad are natural human emotions. You're born with that. It's okay to be the carrot and the egg sometimes. But you can't get stuck being a carrot and the egg. Because you got a third choice. We all have a third choice in life, to be like that coffee bean. You know what a coffee bean does on a carrot day or egg day? Stops the day and starts it over. You can too, anytime you want. 9 o'clock in the morning, noon, 4 p.m., life is getting tough. It's going to happen. May happen tomorrow. Take a step back, take a deep breath, and tell life, I'm not going to live like that. I'm not going to be the carrot, and I'm not going to be the egg. Then you run and jump in that pot of boiling water called life, and you tell life, you know what? I'm a coffee bean. You turn it up. I got this. And the longer the coffee bean sits in the pot of boiling water called life, the stronger that pot of coffee is going to be. So my call to action to each and every one of y'all is the same call to action Mr. Jackson gave me 14 years ago when a prison bus pulled up in Dallas County Jail to pick me up to serve my life sentence in a Texas maximum security prison. My call to action to you, you go out there and you go be a coffee bean. Be a coffee bean, y'all. Thank you very much, son. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.